Trish and I have been spending the day relaxing. There we go. Come on. Thank you. It's not registering the drag command, which is a big problem because I need to be able to drag in order to get around the image. But I've spent the day working my way through a game that came out a while ago, and I'm finally getting the chance to play. Called Horizon Zero Dawn. Now, for a lot of people, if you're a gamer, you probably know this game, and many of you have probably played it. For those of you who are unfamiliar with it, I will talk a little bit about it. Well, the main thing I want to say is it is honestly one of the best games I've played in a very, very long time. That's why I'm giving him a shout out now while I'm trying to work. What are you doing? You're really not registering it when I'm pushing on the button and dragging. I don't know why it's being finicky. But yeah, it's funny because I was thinking about the fact with this game that if it had come out, it came out back in 2017, and if it had come out at any other time in gaming, it would have easily been the best game of the year. 2017 and to some extent 2018 have been talked about by a lot of people as being some of the best years in the history of video games. Just a lot of really, really good quality games were coming out. And it was kind of funny to think about the fact that this game, which came out towards the beginning of 2017, in any other year would have swept everything, and in that year was kind of in the middle of the pack. It's an interesting thing to think about, how we can be completely spoiled by just good quality can spoil us. I'm very much enjoying the game. I don't want to make it sound like, oh, because it came out when it did, this game sucks. It absolutely does not. I've been wildly impressed by this particular game. You know what? I'll just do this here. There we go. Let's get skin tones done. Where is it? There we go. It's an interesting game because I keep trying to find games to compare it to, and while it does have things in common with other games, I can't say that any of the comparisons are exact. It is its own thing in a very real way. There are elements that I compare to countless JRPGs, or Assassin's Creed is a comparison that I was drawing the other night. But it's something really special. It has the classic hero arc, someone coming from humble beginnings who is special. It has elements of, you're trying to track down mysteries of an ancient civilization and dealing with crazed cult and all the stuff that very common tropes in video gaming. But one of the main places where it differs is that the world this all takes place in is the world about 1,000 years in the future, where humanity reached a technological height about 50 years from our present day, so in the 2060s, which included making robots that could self-manufacture, and the end result was the near extinction of humanity. So it's designed like a fantasy world, but in our world. So the ancient civilization is our civilization. And this is a post-apocalyptic concept that has been explored elsewhere, but it's never felt like this. It's never really felt like the technology is very much taking the place of magic. When you see Mad Max, nothing comes across as particularly magical. Oh, I see the problem. You just see, oh, it's the post apocalypse and everything is crazy. But this is after humanity has had a chance to recover a bit. Uh, Technology has largely been forgotten. We've gone to a tribal state, but there is a society. It's not just roving bands of uh, violent types. The arm's crazy long in that character. They are crazy long. It'll be fine. Eye color. And the way they handle it, I don't know, it's interesting. Uh, Artifacts of the old ones get passed around. There are things you can collect, and uh, oop, here we go. There are things you can collect that uh, are saleable for various things. But the items that you find, the people have kind of misinterpreted what they're for. Like the example that comes to mind are uh, ancient chimes, and what they are car keys. Or you have an ancient toothpick, and it's a corkscrew. So there are these artifacts of the old world that are found that no one remembers what they were originally for and have come up with their own explanations for what these things are. And again, I've seen this done in other sources, but it still feels somehow special the way they're handling it here. Now, I do feel bad that there is, oh, that one will work. I had this one up because of how I did the backgrounds. I've decided I'm going to do that again with the gradient effect because all this takes place outdoors. But yeah, shout out to everyone who worked on that particular game. A special shout out because I'm a big fan of voice actors to Ashley Birch, who voices the protagonist. It's interesting because one of the main things that threw me off about the game was I don't know, something about how the main character spoke was really distracting me for a while. I got used to it, and I think the reason is I'm familiar with Ashley Birch enough to know what she looks like, and she looks so different from the protagonist that it threw me at first. Like for some reason, I had this weird disconnect, and I had to resolve that before I could really enjoy the series. But that's no one's fault. It just I had this weird disconnect for some reason. It's one of the funny things about voice acting. A lot of voice actors talk about the fact that video games are exciting in this way because you can look like anything and be anybody. So there's less of a casting for type situation. Obviously, there's still some casting for type, but it's more vocal acting, so it doesn't matter what you look like. One of my favorite examples of this, there was a Spider-Man game that came out not long ago, which from what I've seen is great. I really need to play it. I just haven't had the chance. But one of the things that is, there are stealth sections where you're sneaking around as other people in the Spider-Man universe. And in one of the notable cases is get to sneak around as MJ, one of the popular uh, love interest of Spider-Man. MJ was voiced by Laura Bailey in this game, and Laura did her own motion capture for it. So she's doing all the sneaking movement and stuff like that. Here's where it's interesting. Laura was 8 months pregnant when she did the mocap work. So she was walking around in this really uncomfortable suit that had all these balls all over it and having to sneak around while she was ready to pop. I'm amazed she was able to pull it off because I would have been completely exhausted. All right. What's Revis going to be colored like? I think it should be dark colors because the whole point is that it's really hot. Thinking a deep navy blue. Actually, let's do. Yeah, it'll work. Nope. I don't know why my computer's lagging this much. It's 32 gigs of RAM. It should not be having this much trouble with basic tasks. I recently rebooted it. Has no excuse. One of the other exciting video game things is my friend Ian Klesch just got himself a PSVR and was showing off some of what he could do with it. I am very excited by VR technology, by how it's been progressing and where it's gotten to in the last few years. It's a lot of people wanted to write it off as a gimmick, and while I still think there's a chance that it'll turn out to be a gimmick, I really hope it's not. Um, it is it's some of the most exciting game technology I have seen in a very long time. And I would very much like it to be, I'd like it to become the new standard. Maybe not soon, but maybe let's say in 10 years, I'd like to see VR be universal. I'm not saying that every single game at that point will be VR, but I want it to be seen as a legitimate part of the gaming community for a while. I don't want it to be a passing fad. VR has many exciting possibilities. One of the things that I have wanted to check out, I don't own a VR system myself. Um, if I did, I would probably be getting the PSVR because I use PlayStation a lot. Uh, the one that interests me the most is the Vive, but that is also the most expensive one and requires clear space, which is a little tricky for me. But some of the possibilities are particularly interesting. There's a game called, I believe it's the 13th Hour, that when I first started learning more about VR technology, this is basically the game that I pitched. And then I found out later it's a real thing, and I very much want to try it. The whole idea is a mystery is unfolding in a house. You've got a cast of characters, all with their own secrets, and they're running around, and the mysteries, and they're all taking actions throughout the house, throughout the night. And you are just a disembodied observer. You can go wherever you want in the house during that night and watch what happens. And I am so excited this exists. my idea was a little bit more of a Rashomon style thing, where you have a a big scene that is unfolding, and you're actively following one individual, and then it switches, and you're actively following another individual for the exact same set of events to see how things changed. And you could do this game that way, but you can also jump around on your own. And I don't know, I think it's a very cool idea for storytelling. And now that I think about it, I think I know something else that I want to do. It wouldn't be VR, but um, it is something I'd like to try. So there is a system that is being made for PlayStation. It's a game called Dreams. And the idea behind it is it's a game editor, an engine, so you can make your own games within the system. Now, I've been very hesitant about it. I have friends who really want to try it out, but I'm looking at this and saying there are some right issues that have me concerned. I'm going to go deep. That'll work. So there are things about it that do have me worried. The way it's designed, anything you make in Dreams, other people who use Dreams can use. Everything is open source, which the idea behind it is if someone else made, say, a really good tree, and you didn't want to take the time to remake a tree, you could just copy their tree and put it right in your world. And part of the concept in this system is that's what you're supposed to do. It's not stealing, it's everything's there for everyone to use, which is all well and good, but that raised a big question for me. And that is, would it be worth it if this meant that I didn't own the game? Because technically, you wouldn't. Say you made something and you're like, okay, this is fantastic and I know how to program now. I'm going to make this in another engine so that I can market it. Well, you made it on Dreams. So who owns that idea now? Did you sell it to Dreams effectively by making it on this open source system? And I don't know the answer to this. And part of what's scary is I haven't been able to get a straight answer about it. I'm going to make the sides of these also gray. And let's go for a nice tan. Make it look like leather straps. And this is a problem. If I'm very hesitant to use a system at all, if using it means I lose all rights to whatever idea I put into that system. Come on. Oh, I switched tools. Why are you being a butt? But I have been talking with a friend who really wants to try the system, and I want to help him with it. And if we do, it occurs to me, it might be a good time to experiment with that type of storytelling. So you set up a large number of events all happening at the same time, and you actually use the hair color for the mask because I wanted it to be yellowish. There we go. Nope. That looks good. But yeah, that seems like a good way to do some experimentation without putting too much heavy lifting into it. I'm still going to read the hell out of the terms once they're posted. That's the other thing. I haven't looked for it myself, but I was asking my friend about what their terms are, and his response was they haven't posted it yet. Which, big red flag.